This is lesson 6-4 in your workbook, composing transformations. That just means that you have multiple steps from moving one object to the next. And this is going to be workbook pages 328 to 329. This is example 1 on page 328. Ava is using interior design software to design the layout of her family room. How can she move the corner fireplace to the top right corner of the room? All right, so what we're doing in this lesson is we are taking more than one step. So although I might be able to reflect the fireplace, let's try to do this in a multi-step process. So first, I really feel like we need to slide it. So when you are doing these steps, it's really important that you give me all the directions. So I'm going to say I'm going to translate the figure 15 units right. So there are some things that I will be looking for. What am I doing? How much? What direction? Now that will get it over to the corner, but now we have to rotate it to make it fit. So from there, my second step is I'm going to rotate. Now remember, there's some things that you want to tell me here. We're going to go 270 degrees counterclockwise around the center of the object. Now, if you looked in your book on page 328 at step 2, they did a 90 clockwise, but if you remember, your book uses a positive number for counterclockwise. So I changed it 90 clockwise is the same as 270 counterclockwise. And when you give me this information, what am I doing? How much? Which direction? And what's my center of rotation? So there's a lot of little baby details here that I'm going to be looking for. You want to be as precise as you can in your language. This is the try it on page 328. Ava decided to move the cabinet to the opposite wall. What sequence of transformations moves the cabinet to its new position? All right, I want you to go ahead and try this. Keep in mind that there's probably going to be more than one answer, or sometimes the steps you take don't need to be in a specific order. So if you tell me to move to the left and then up, I could still go up and to the left. So there's some variations here that allow for more than one answer. But I want you to go ahead and pause me. When you come back, I will give you one of my answers. Here's one solution. I said let's translate 10 units up and then rotate 180 degrees around the center of the figure. Now, I didn't tell you what direction I was going to rotate, but that's implied when I have a positive degree that is counterclockwise. But regardless, 180 degrees will get you in the same place no matter whether it's clockwise or counterclockwise. Beyond that, there's a couple things that I'm going to look for. Did you tell me what I'm doing? How much and what direction? Did you tell me what you're doing? How much and what direction? And what was the center? On this one, I made the center of the cabinet, so then it would just rotate around its middle. This is example 2 on page 329. It says we want to translate quadrilateral MNPQ 7 units left and then reflect it across x equals -3. So you're going to go step by step. So first, you're going to take every one of these corners, every one of these vertices. Oops, let me change into a pen. Take every one of the vertices, and you're going to count and move. So take n, count 7 to the left, and make n prime. M, move 7 to the left, m prime. Same with P and same with Q until you have your intermediary figure. Then, second, we're going to deal with the reflection. So we have down here our, in kind of a gray color, let me go over it in red. This was the translation. And now I need to reflect it. And remember, x equals -3 means every single space where x is -3. So there is my line of reflection. Let me do it in a pen instead of a highlighter. There's my line of reflection. And remember, what you need to do is you need to count. N is 1, n prime is 1 to the left. It now needs to go 1 to the right. M prime is 2 to the left. Now it needs to go 2 to the right. The same with P and the same with Q. So you want to make sure that your distances to your line of reflections works. So example 1 was, can you understand a sequence? Example number 2 is, can you make one given the directions? And then we're about to do number 3. Can you figure out the directions should you see the picture? This is example 3 on page 329. So I'm going to tell you that in a series of transformations, there's generally going to be more than one way of doing it. And just because your answer doesn't match a friend does not make it wrong. It is possible that you are both right. So we are taking a series of transformations that maps ABC, the blue one, onto A double prime, B double prime, C double prime, the red one. So here's how they started. They said, well, I think we probably need to move it. And so here was step 1. Notice they told me a couple of things here that I would be looking for. They told me what I'm doing, how much, what way, how much, what way. And then they said, ooh, I bet I could reflect that baby. So then step 2, they told me some information that I'm going to want. What am I reflecting? Oops, highlighter, sorry. I thought I was on highlighter. So they are going to reflect across the y-axis, and it will sit right on top. Now here's my question. Could you have done that backwards? And I don't know the answer. I haven't worked it out yet. But I wonder, could we have reflected it first and then moved it? If so, that's a second option. Could you have gotten there with a rotation? Maybe. So I want you to think about all your options because there's going to be lots of ways to get from point A to point B. All right, I set you up for the try it on page 329. Can you find another way to get ABC, the blue, onto the orange, A double prime, B double prime, C double prime? You go ahead and work. You're going to pause me and then come back for one of my solutions. All right, I worked it out, and going backwards does work. I could reflect over the y-axis first and then translate how much which way, how much which way, and it works. There are probably other options out there as well, but this is the one I came up with. This is your key concept on page 330. You can use a sequence of 2 or more transformations to map a pre-image to its image. I just want to caution you to make sure you're being very precise. What are you doing? How much? Which way? Pretty much covers it.